Can you believe that Marjorie said that our relationship is for the dogs? What do you mean for the dogs? We are dogs. Woof, 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 woof.
I'm Jeremy Doublestein, and welcome to another episode of The Third Ring, where we share the story behind the story. If I asked you if your relationship was for the dogs, what would you say? If you asked Alyssa and John, they might say their relationship is actually in spite of the dog.
Most guys don't like small dogs. I just gotten her. I was like, if it will work out one way or the other.
That is true. Most dudes do not like small dogs. And while it's cute and funny, it actually has a much deeper meaning with their story.
When we started dating, Alyssa already had a dog named Pippi. I never had a pet, never wanted a pet, never petted an animal.
He just kind of looked at her and broke down.
No, they used Pippi on Michael Vick. That's how he became a form.
And again, as a filmmaker, my job is to communicate a much larger idea through a very engaging and entertaining avenue. And so when I heard the story, I thought, perfect. A grown man that has to fall in love with a really small dog? Hilarious. But beyond being funny, there actually is a deeper relational issue at work here. Alyssa talks a little bit about that in the story.
And I always felt comfortable leaving her with him, and I knew if he could take care of something that I love so much, then he would probably take care of me too.
Change is a very common theme in our videos. After all, the only certain thing in life is that everything's gonna change. So communicating change in a fresh and unique perspective is one of our biggest challenges. So what's great about Jonathan and Alyssa's story is that while it's about change, they have a very unique take on it. For Alyssa, one of the most important things was that Jonathan fell in love with Pippi, because she knew if Jonathan was willing to change to do something way outside of his comfort zone, he would do whatever it took to make sure she was taken care of.
We were both very strong-willed, and me being single, and I want it the way I want it, how I want it now. When you're in a relationship with someone that you really care about, part of being in that relationship is taking the time to really care about that other person's feelings and understanding their point of view. And so that's kind of been the growth, at least for me.
That idea of taking steps. A small step after a small step, and then every once in a while a big step. And sometimes that big step is like moving from not liking dogs to liking dogs. And sometimes it's something much bigger than that.
Ivy wed.
I don't know, it's weird. People always ask me, are you nervous? I just think it's a step. It's a big step, but it's one of a million steps. Should be fun.
And that's where Jonathan hit the nail on the head. It's more than just taking one big step. It's actually about taking a series of small, incremental steps that help us to change and grow to make sure that we're able to take care of each other.
I felt like John challenged me to grow as a person, and I never really felt that in a relationship. I pretty much thought I was like the best thing that could happen to whoever I was dating, and I kind of started that way with John, but the more that we were talking, I was like, I have some growing to do in this relationship.
From Jonathan and Alyssa's perspective, there's no doubt that the other has their back. And that's what's so great about their story. The takeaway for us is just like Jonathan walking Pippi night after night, taking small step after small step, a relationship began to develop. The things that annoyed him started to melt away. It's easy in the infatuation stage of a relationship to forget that the other person probably has some things that annoy you, and you probably have a few things that annoy them too. And some of those things need to change, and some of them just need to be accepted.
I'm looking out for her, and she's looking out for me. We come from different perspectives at times on a variety of issues, even sometimes a different method or a way of dealing with things, but we have the same goal in mind.
But it's important to recognize that regardless, it's a series of small steps that over time lead to a big change. Ultimately, for Jonathan and Alyssa, those incremental changes, those small steps over time, prove to the other that neither one's giving up on this relationship. So the question for us is, are there any big steps that I need to take in my relationships? And if so, what small steps will it take to get me there? So leave a comment below. We'd love to hear what the big steps and the little steps are that are gonna get you there. Thanks again, Jonathan and Alyssa, for sharing a story of change with us with a very unique twist. We wish you both and Pippi a happy long life together.
He's like, do you mind? I was like, sure, if you want to bring more girls to our party, of course. It's always awesome.
I would say, oh, I'm walking my dog, and John just wouldn't respond at all. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he didn't hear me.
I never had a pet, never wanted a pet, never petted an animal. When we started dating, Alyssa already had a dog named Pippi.